The following podcast may contain language and subject matter not suitable for all ages or everyone. If you don't like what you're listening to, please press stop.
O'Brien's Irish Bar in Changwon City, South Korea. The original and only Irish pub in the Changwon area. Great food, drinks, atmosphere, music and people. Nightly specials on both food and drinks. Craft beer on tap and over 12 different craft beers in the fridge. Also check out our mini mart at OB's for great deals on things that you may miss from back home, including our all-new deli meat. Follow us on Facebook, or better yet, come on down and check us out for yourself. O'Brien's Irish Bar, located in downtown Changwon, across from the International Hotel. Come on down and have yourself a pint.
Looking for a great night out? Then come on down to BK House. Great music, great food, and great drink specials. It's always a fun time, and there's always a great crowd. We're open late and serve food until closing time, outdoor patios, darts, and so much more. This is our house, BK House, located in downtown Changwon. Follow us on Facebook at BK House Bar.
You're tuned in to the Changwoner, the social media podcast for Changwon City, South Korea, with your hosts, Scott, Dee, and Paul.
Welcome to another episode of the Changwoner Podcast. Once again, I'm Scott, joined with Paul. Not with Paul, but he's here.
Yeah, we're not actually joined at the hip or something like that.
No.
That would be fucking weird.
And this week, we've got a special guest. We have Paul Duffy. How's it going, Michael?
I'm doing well, mate. Can't complain.
I tell you what, man, that's the best middle name I've ever heard.
Yeah, I want to get rid of it.
Fuck off.
It's okay for a middle name, but it sucks for a first name.
Whatever.
Anyway, before we get things started, let's do the ceremonial.
Yeah.
Clinky. Cheers, boys.
boys.
It's nice, man. It's nice, actually, because we changed the day today, and it's a Saturday afternoon, and I'm pretty pumped because we've got some good things to look forward to tonight. You know, it's going to be a good night, I'd say. Yeah,
I think it'd be a blurry night.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those, I'd say, yeah.
And we've got a word for the podcast this week. The word is wayworn.
Yeah, so I'm sitting between two way-worn guys, right? That's
It's an adjective, and it means to be worn or worried from travel.
Wearied from travel. You guys look like, I don't know, like an old fucking shoe or something like that. Leather face.
So basically it means tired.
Wait till I got a suntan, then you can still be Leatherface.
So anytime you use the word of the podcast, the other two people got a drink, basically.
All right.
So, Michael, where are you from?
Sydney, Australia, Maroubra Beach.
I heard, is it true that Sydney's the most, the most expensive place to live? Like, one of the most expensive places on the planet or
Top
something?
3, yeah.
That's crazy, eh?
Yeah,
like, how much, give me an example, what is the average, let's say rent, if you're renting a place?
I haven't looked at the rents in a long time, but even back before I came here, back in sort of 2000, you'd be looking at paying for a small 2-bedroom unit, $500 a week.
Wow. Just a tiny place, right?
Yeah.
Nuts. And what about drinking and eating and stuff like that? Is it pretty...
Yeah, it's nowadays, especially when I go back home and that, it's really expensive to go out.
Right.
You need for a night out, you need at least a couple $100 in your wallet.
Right, so. Which is totally different compared to here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I haven't been known to go through a couple $100 in a night here. So.
Yeah, that's when you're losing at poker.
That's when I win at poker and I spend it all.
Oh, man. Hey, man. Yeah.
So, when did you first come to Korea?
It was December 2001.
2001.
Yeah.
Same year I came.
Yeah, long time ago.
No, I followed after a couple of years, I'd say, right?
Yeah,
it must have been
long after.
Yeah, it must have been totally different back then, right?
Oh, hell yeah! We had one foreign bar, the IP.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There was Home Plus was pretty new. And there was Daedong Department Store, and that was pretty much Changwon.
And no coffee shops.
No coffee shops. Plenty of cell phone shops, but no smartphones.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. Just flip phones, right?
Yeah.
You still got one, haven't you?
I haven't thrown them away.
I bet you it's gold.
Nah, wasn't gold.
So when you first came to Korea, did you come to Changwon or did you live anywhere else in Korea?
I did my first 2 weeks up in Seoul, the school I was working for.
First 2 weeks?
Yeah, the school I worked
2
for
weeks.
was a chain, and they had a teacher on vacation at the head office, so I did the substitute for 2 weeks up there. And when I got down to Changwon, the school actually hadn't opened, so I spent the first 2 weeks twiddling my thumbs and handing out flyers for the school to open down here.
Right. So what do you think about like working up in Seoul?
It was fine. I was sort of like on the outskirts of Seoul a bit, so it was only 2 weeks. I met a couple of the foreigners there. They took me into town after work and checked it out, but on the weekends I was basically on my own because they were all couples working, and I didn't know the landscape, so I didn't travel too far at the time.
Right.
So,
What was your first impressions when you got here?
well, it was interesting when I first got here. I flew in Friday morning, so I was a bit tired from the travelling and got dumped in the apartment, and they said, we'll call you. So I assumed they were going to call me Friday afternoon. It didn't turn out to be Monday afternoon.
Wow.
So it was like late Friday night. I started getting hungry, and I'm like, screw this. I'm going to go walk and find something to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So wandered around, just went left, McDonald's. Oh, God, something I know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So after 2 weeks, you decided what? To get out of there? Or?
Well, no, I just substitute for the head office for the first 2 weeks while they had a teacher on vacation. Then they sent me down to where my school was contracted for, which is here in Changwon.
Oh, I see.
So it was Topia, which had just hadn't actually opened.
All right.
Yeah, I was the
Whereabouts
first
was that
foreign
in
teacher.
Changwon?
Originally, it was down where City 7 is, diagonal at that intersection,
Oh,
on
okay.
the other side there.
So that would be like
Then it moved up to Sangnam after I'd been there 6 months.
right on. So that was Myeongsadong?
Yeah, Myeongsadong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you moved over to Sangnam.
Yeah, then it moved up to Sangnam.
Was it better in Sangnam or?
I was better for the school, but my apartment was still in Myeongsadong.
No, right. So you had to commute, right?
Yeah. So
Right. So what you at now anyway, Mikey?
now I work for myself and try to work as little as possible.
What did you do before you came to Korea?
I was a photographer before I got here, so I was working for myself before I came here anyway. So
So back home, you're
yeah, so
taking photos of...
taking photos. I was doing like a lot of magazine work. Was doing a bit of soft porn, People Picture magazine, the topless G-string girls, and that sort of stuff. I do the odd wedding because weddings pay well, but they're the most boring thing to do
And
as a
it's
photographer.
stressful, I'd say,
Yeah,
right? Like,
weddings are a
crazy.
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
What is soft porn anyway? Is that like...
Basically,
Nude
they're wearing
photos?
G-strings and topless sort of things. So
All right.
yeah,
So you decided to stop doing soft porn photography and you came to be a teacher in Korea.
I just wanted to get out of Australia and travel again. I was originally going to go to Europe and do photographic work through there and sell my stuff back in Australia. And I used to manage bars and clubs and that, so I
Right.
could bar work my way through it and
Uh-huh.
no probs. And then picked up a newspaper about 2 months before I was planning to leave, teaching Korea. Free airfare, free accommodation, good salary. The exchange rate was really good back then. I was like, yep, sounds good to me. Sign me
Yeah,
up.
right. It is a good deal. So you
Yeah.
were managing bars and clubs.
Yeah, I used to do that in my 20s.
All right.
So
How was that?
good fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like big
real-
clubs and stuff like that or what?
Largest one I ran was 3,000 capacity.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was always like full on the weekends and
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday was huge.
What about during the week?
They didn't really open during the week.
Yeah.
They do Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, it's the same in the UK, right? Like they'll have like student nights and things
Yeah.
sometimes, but
Well, this club was out in Maroubra in the suburbs.
uh-huh.
So, and it's got an RSL club, Return Services League, below it, sort of thing, where you get cheaper alcohol if you're a member and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But downtown Sydney, yeah, clubs are open Monday through Sunday.
Is
Yeah.
there a cover charge usually?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. You'll find pretty much every club in Australia will have a cover charge.
How much is it usually?
They used to charge 15 at the one I was going to.
That's not bad.
Yeah. You usually look at it $20 these days, sort of thing. Any more
Right.
than that, and
Right.
So-
In London, man, like it's like £50 for some clubs.
really,
Say, what is that in Australian? Like,
that is close to $100.
yeah, almost
Yeah.
$100.
It's ridiculous.
Right? They must make a fortune.
Yeah.
You know.
The cover charge, they're killing it.
But that's the thing. The thing in the UK is people don't drink too much when they're in the clubs. they're just dancing and what have you. You know what I mean?
What's going on?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But that's the thing. I guess that's why they charge so much to get in. You know what I mean? Right?
But you still find some of the other clubs, like there's like retro clubs and that in Sydney, where you see people drinking a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
But there's usually not a lot of women there because there's too many dickheads hitting on it with their fists.
So how did you find going from working in clubs to soft porn pornography to photographs? Sorry.
Well, I did photography.
Teaching in Korea.
I did photography all the way through high school and in uni, and that it was something I did. And then after uni, it's just I've got a pretty much useless degree. What am I going to do? Went back and studied photography. Started doing that. I ended up in soft porn, going from doing Santa Claus photography to soft porn. A mate of mine got me the job with a company in Sydney that he's working for, and they had pretty much Australia-wide most of the major shopping centres sewn up for the holidays, Easter, Christmas, and all this photography stuff. So in Sydney, there were me and him, the two professionals, and they'd hire a bunch of 15, 16, 17-year-old high school kids to sit there and muck around with a $40,000 digital camera printer setup. So when you got open ceilings and stuff and the lighting changes, you got all these young kids who are too scared to muck around with the cameras, we'd just run from shopping centre to shopping centre getting paid top dollar while they're getting paid peanuts, and we're just changing the apertures and things like this and fixing the printers out and changing the papers out and all that sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then he was their head photographer in Sydney. He got his dream job up in the ski fields and left the company. And then I get a phone call out of the blue one day, can you photograph Sexpo for us? Which is the sex industry's expo.
How long did it take you to make a decision?
I think it was about 0.02 of a second. I was single at the time. It's like, how would you like to photograph naked women all day long?
That's interesting to me. Like, I'd always wondered what that would be like, to actually have to do that. Like, all these dudes are like, I'd fucking love to do that. But I guess, like, the first time you do something like that, it must be pretty uncomfortable, right?
Like, the models are really good. So I remember, like, we were at Sexpo one time, and one of the girls, she was just wearing a G-string, and she wanted to change out of it. And you've got 100 or more guys all crowded around the little roped-off area, and she just asked me to stand in front of her while she gets changed. So I went to turn around and put my back to her, and she's like, no, you're good.
So you turned around?
No, I didn't turn around. I went to turn around. She's like, no, it's all right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
okay.
So I was getting a full eyeful.
Okay. So, wait a minute. What were these guys doing behind the roped-off area?
No, they were on the outside of the roped-off area.
Why are they there?
Well, they have the stage shows at Sexpo where the strippers come out. You've got Penthouse and Playboy there. There's Harley Davidson, Sports Illustrated set up. And then you got everything down to the swinging clubs and everything in between. And
right.
People Picture magazine, the soft porn magazines, who we had the contracts for.
I would say people pitch a lot of things at those things.
Yeah, just for the record, I've never been to one of these things.
Pitch Intense is common at those places.
Oh, I know.
Well, no cameras are fair in Australia. It's different to the States where everyone can take their cameras in. So they'd only give out 4 press passes every year, so they only had 4 photographers in there. So that's why you get like 1,000 guys a day going, how'd you get this job?
Right. So did it pay well?
It was real good money.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Cool. So, you came over to Korea, and you've been here for many, many years.
15 now, yeah.
A long, long time.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Right. You must have seen some differences, man, like some changes, some massive changes.
Oh,
right?
huge.
Right? What's the biggest change you've seen?
The people, really. It was everyone here was a true expat when I first rocked up. No one was here saving money. No one was straight out of university. I think the youngest person was 26. Everyone was sort of late 20s, early 30s. Even the people you didn't like were still interesting.
Right.
Now there's just so many people straight out of uni.
Yeah.
And I've got older too. So a lot of the time I just don't sort of mix with those guys. They're a different mindset nowadays.
Yeah, you've definitely got older. You're looking a little bit way-worn. Oh. Drink.
You do like me, though. You used it as a verb.
What?
Yeah.
That's an adjective, mate.
Yeah, adjective description. Yeah.
You're looking a bit way-worn. That's definitely an adjective.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. English teachers. Ooh. Enjoy that.
Anyway, you mentioned that you're working for yourself now.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we're going to do some birthdays and shout-outs just before we find out what the hell you're doing here anyway.
Yeah.
It's time for your birthday wishes, shout-outs, and announcements on the Changwoner Podcast.
All right, so we got some birthdays and shout-outs to do. Just a few days ago was Maddie Dokyo's birthday, so happy birthday, Maddie. It's a little late, but we got it on here anyway. And who else do we have?
I've got a few. I've got Stephen O'Meara. Happy birthday on the 6th of October, mate. I hope you have a good time. And I've also got Stephen Gable, who's been back a month. Happy birthday for the 9th of October. And we've also got Ron Sefik. I hope I pronounced your name right. You're on the 9th of October. Happy birthday to you. And last but not least, we've got Seijin Jang, who moved from Changwon back up to Seoul. And we hope you have a good birthday. That's on the 9th.
Yep, and my son's birthday, William, will be on the 15th of October too. So get him a pile of Lego and stuff.
Oh, he's into the Lego, yeah?
He loves his Lego.
I love Lego too.
Oh, my wife hates it.
You'll give him the Lego and then you'll build it, right? Is that what you do?
Nah, not anymore. It used to be, but now he wants to do it all.
And aside from the birthdays, we've also got a very special day today because Alice is getting married, or she's actually probably got married by now.
Yeah, sad day in Changwon. Another hottie bites the dust.
Anyway, Alice, congratulations, and we hope you had a great day.
All right, so before we start at the birthdays and shout-outs, we were getting into what you actually do in Korea now, Mike. So what do you do?
What do you do?
I still teach, but I do own the school. So I try to teach as little as possible these days, but...
So this is a private school, like a hawgwan?
Yeah, this is a private hawgwan, so yep. So,
okay.
But we expanded the school, bought another school, and then moved our old school into it and tripled the size of the school and a lot more students and that. So
right.
I've spent the last 3 or 4 years with 3-day weekends, but I've had to go back to a 5-day work week this year.
Ooh, how does that feel?
It's terrible. You get spoiled having Thursday, Friday, Saturday as you Saturday, Sunday.
That's the 4 days. You had Thursdays, Fridays,
Thursday
Saturdays.
nights when it started.
Okay.
Poker was the beginning of my my weekend on Thursday night.
The beginning of the end.
I knew expanding the business I was going to have to work more, but
right. So what's the name of the academy?
We're Maple Times English.
That's a good name. Who came up with that?
No idea. Some moron came up with that.
And you and your wife run the place, right?
Yeah, me and the missus run the joint. So, well, actually, more she runs the joint because the language requirement.
Yeah, right. So how many students have you got these days?
We're roughly a bit over 300 at the moment.
Wow.
So,
that's nice, man.
Yeah, it's doing well.
And this is in Namyangdong, right?
Yeah, Namyangdong, just behind the Jewang Hospital.
Right. And you had the academy before was...
Canada Language School.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So why did you pick Canada?
Originally, it was part of a chain.
Ah.
And Pearl was friends with the owner of the chain who turned out to be a bit of a... Well, not even a bit, a very shifty guy.
Right.
So eventually cut off for him, and his whole franchise fell apart anyway.
When did you first open the school?
I'd been here about 2.5 years. I think it was about 2 and 3/4 years when we first opened the school.
So about 12 years or so?
Yeah, roughly about
11, 12 years?
Yeah.
Long time.
And I was actually, the first 6 months we were open, I was still finishing out a contract with my previous school. So, and then they offered me a lot of money to stay with them. Mm-hmm. And the wife's like, well, do I work at my school or do I take this? Especially back then, it was a really good salary. They were offering me 3.2.
So
Okay.
that must have been a way-worn time.
Oh.
For you.
Is that even the right use? Can he justify this?
I'll drink.
Yeah. Why not?
It's actually supposed to be tired from traveling, but
That's tired from working.
you're away from home, so you're traveling.
Yeah, guess we can get away with that.
Right. So do you enjoy running the academy?
Yeah, it's much better working for myself. Like when
Right.
we want a vacation, we take a vacation.
Yeah.
There's no having to wait for the school holidays or someone to say, yep, you can take 3 days off, but you can't take the other 2 in the week. And
So when you, if you take a vacation, do you close the school or do you have people
No.
covering things?
The only time we close the school is if it's actual sort of the yearly schedule vacation sort of things.
Like summer and winter?
Yeah, then we can close the school. Otherwise, it'll be me, the missus, my son. Quite often the in-laws will come with us, but then my brother-in-law and his wife will still be running the school for us.
Oh, so they work there too?
Yeah, they work for us. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's my wife's younger brother.
How many staff have you got?
What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8.
Okay, yeah. Everybody gets along well?
Not including myself. So
Right.
yeah, no problem. So everyone's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, what made you decide to get into the hawgwan business?
Working for
Don't know.
going back working for myself is a good bonus too.
Yeah.
You can choose your own hours, sort of thing, a bit easier. Like I said, the vacations if you want to do that. Making money to make more money working
Right.
for myself, and back then, no foreigners owned hawgwans.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was quite unusual, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
made you-
it's a good selling point to get his students in and that.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. Did the parents respond well to that then? So, okay, it's like a foreign-owned
Yeah. Well,
academy.
I'm part of a Facebook group where it's foreign-owned hawgwans at the moment, and most of them these days when they open up find it really difficult to start off and get students. When we first opened up, it was really easy.
Right.
It didn't take much advertising and handing out a few flyers and stuff, and we're surrounded by apartments in Namyangdong, and excuse me, we picked up students really quick the first sort of 3-4 months. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a good area for that as well, Namyangdong, right?
Yeah,
It's
like
there's
we
a lot
researched-
of apartments around, right?
Yeah. When we opened up, there was only 3 other hawgwans.
Uh-huh.
At the worst point, I think we had like 30 hawgwans in that area.
Wow.
They're
I
like,
heard there was a
it got
few really
flooded.
good ones as well. Like,
Yeah, there was this real silly one. It was ha. So everyone just kept laughing at the place. Look, he's laughing at it now.
Just for the record, I had a business there for a few years. It went a little bit pear-shaped just because of the relationship between the Korean guy and myself and the Canadian guy. It was actually pretty good. You know, there was we weren't trying to be in competition with you, but
no, we used to joke about it.
yeah, we did. We had a good relationship. That's nice. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, why not?
I remember we used to talk about sharing students here and there.
Right,
Students to swap over.
Yeah, right. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
It was a good experience. It's a good area, you know.
Yeah.
I found that because you've got apartments like to the right, to the left, and you're surrounded by them, right? You know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people, a lot of kids, you know.
Well, that was our whole reason for picking that area. There was just, you got an elementary school down the road, apartments all around you, and there was no real competition at the time.
And then you've got a nice park. So
Yeah.
you guys do like, what do you do like once a year? You do like a...
We do it usually 2-3 times a year. We call it Market Day.
okay.
So the kids get given, we have hawgwan dollars. We give them out for doing their homework and doing well on tests and things like that. And then we go down the park and set up our stalls, and we'll have stationery, candies, snacks, tteokbokki, fried chips, chicken nuggets. Sometimes we go down to McDonald's and just buy boxes and boxes of hamburgers. They deliver it.
Do you have a Barbie?
we haven't had a Barbie yet. Nothing to throw the shrimp on.
Oh, for crying out loud. I was about to say that, man. You stole it away from me. So what do you think, like, what are the difficulties when you're trying to run a hawgwan like this or an academy as a foreign owner with, you know, Korean wife? What are the difficulties?
Your wife getting a shitload of stress. Just because, like, my language ability is just not up to par to do that kind of business completely.
Do you think that, like, when we were doing our academy, I felt like even if my Korean was perfect, that I still wouldn't be able to do that kind of business because parents just want to communicate with Koreans.
No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, you get that when you go to the restaurants here at times. I go out with my wife and I'm speaking to Korean to the waitress and she looks at me and then just starts talking to my wife.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? It's like, what?
I'm here, I'm talking.
Yeah, right. It's quite frustrating sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, but it'd be the same thing with the hawgwans.
Right. So, what do you think, like, the major differences between, like, working for school and running your own school? Obviously, you're pocketing more cash, and obviously you've got your own hours. Are there any other differences at all?
I don't have a boss yelling at me all the time.
do you think you get more respect from the parents and the students?
Yeah, it makes a bit more of a difference that way. Student-wise, it'll depend on the students.
Right.
Some of them are little shits no matter what.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? You just can't. Yeah, you can't catch a break, can you?
Yeah, but like sometimes you'll get the bad student when they first come in. They're new. They think they play up, and they just think you're the employee. And then they realise it's like, oh, maybe I can't muck around so much because they wouldn't be the first student we've kicked out of the school.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Actually, let's talk about that because some schools, a lot of schools, actually, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
They don't care about disciplining kids. They just want to see the money coming through. And no matter what a kid does, they will not, cut them from the school or whatever. But some schools, like your school, they've got a strict policy and they're like, okay, you're acting up, you're done, right?
I will give them a few warnings.
Right.
But I've had a really good class. You have a few little smart asses and you can joke around with them, but they're generally well behaved. When you say knuckle down and do some work, they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then a new student joins who's a friend from outside, and the whole dynamics of the class goes to hell. And turns out this kid's like the bad apple at school anyway, sort of thing. And they all tend to follow them, and they just completely destroy the dynamics of your class and making it almost impossible to teach because they're revving all the other students up to play up in class. We'll give them 2-3 warnings, and it's, all right, sorry, find somewhere else.
Fair enough. And what's the response from the parents when that happens?
They usually already know about their kids' behaviour.
So do you think they just feel a little bit ashamed or...
This is why my wife deals with all this sort of stuff. She's pretty good at dealing with it, being not just saying, fuck off, get your kid out of here, he's a little shit.
Right.
She's quite good about it, and she'll sort of say, well, look, he's just not right for the situation we have here, sort of thing, and tries to soften the blow. Right. But it's pretty obvious that the parents know, because we've had parents...
It's probably happened before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Somewhere else.
We've had the parents say, can you please keep him, give him another chance, because they know they've been kicked out of other schools. They're running out of places to send them.
I had the craziest situation like that in my old school. Now, I won't mention names, but the school's actually closed now. It was a franchise.
Yeah.
I was working for a woman, and there was a kid stealing money from the teachers' bags.
Ooh.
And this was in the teachers' room, so we'd go and have classes, and the teachers' room was empty. And then, on one or two occasions, the teachers came back in, and the women had their handbags, just on the desks, right?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, wait a minute, this is open. Why is this open? And hang on a sec. I'm like $10 down. What's going on here? So this went on for a few weeks, and eventually, we started closing the sliding door to the teacher's room.
Yeah.
And we'd leave the classroom doors open. And this kid went in again, and we could hear the sliding door go clunk, close behind him. So the teacher ran out, busted the kid. He had his hand in a bag, in a purse, right, with a $10 in his hand, pretty much about to steal it.
Caught red-handed.
Right, literally caught red-handed. What happens? Can you guess?
He kept the $10. Because he was paying $120.
I tell you, believe it or not, this is what happened.
He paid $110 that month.
honestly, I cannot believe this. This is what happened. The teachers obviously bollocked the kid. What are you doing? You can't be stealing money.
And then
they didn't contact the parents. The kid just continued, studying badly. Actually, he was a bad kid too.
Yeah.
Studying badly at the school, and nobody was notified that this kid was a thief, right? Oh. Because the director, our business was failing at the time, and all she could see was one signs, right? All she wanted was the cash, and that is just wrong. You know what I mean?
If that was my school, the first thing I'd be doing is saying, look, Pearl, call the parents.
Yeah.
Get them in here.
Right. Get them in, discuss it, threaten, even listen, if this is going to happen, we're going to have to get the police involved, The kid has to learn. They have to learn that is wrong.
I'd make sure he'd apologise to every teacher in the school.
Right.
The full Korean proper apologies, bowing and all that. It's
damn straight. And just sorry to rant on, but another kid as well in the same place, I'm quite a strict teacher.
Yeah.
And, that works out well sometimes and it works out horribly other times, And there was a few kids that really just hated me, But this one kid really hated my guts. He's a middle school guy. And the one time I'd said, all right, listen, Joe, you're not doing anything. Just get out of here. So he'd gone downstairs and graffitied the wall saying Paul is an asshole in Korean, blah, blah, blah. And I've just happened to be walking down the stairs one day and I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, that's not cool. So I told my director and she was like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, find the kid who did it. We can't really do that. And I was like, well, are you going to paint the wall? No. It's still there. It's still there, right? You know what I mean? Unbelievable, right?
I want to go past there, take a couple of photos, check, add a bit more to it.
Jeez, man. So, another question, just the last question for you there, Mikey. Since starting school and running this kind of business, do you think there's been, many changes in the way that you've got to do things?
Well... Hold on. Yep. Before we get into that...
No.
We're going to do what's going on in Changwon this coming week.
Bang! It's your local events list for Changwon City. Get your ass out the chair and we'll see you there.
All right, this week at O'Brien's, they've got Taco Tuesdays, which is obviously every Tuesday night. You can get some delicious tacos and nachos, I believe, too. And, they have a mini mart, which you can get deli meats. Deli meats you can usually get. I get them. I know. Duffy gets them. So you can order those come Tuesday, Wednesday. I believe he cuts the meats on Wednesday or Thursday, so you can pick them up anytime. On Thursday nights, anytime after Thursday nights.
I'm a pastrami guy.
He's a pastrami thief. Stole mine last Thursday.
And you can always get a lot of other things at the mini mart too. Just pop in, you get cheese and all kinds of shit over there. So what's going on at Biscacci's?
Biscacci's, you know what's going on. Debauchery. It's always fun, isn't it? Right? The boys have got the beer pong. It's a laugh. It's wicked. The boys are open real late, serving some great drinks. It's always a good time, But it's quite a quiet week next week because of Chuseok and everything, But you can get down there, you can get some good drinks, and you can get some good beer pong on. You know what I mean? That's always going to be good.
Yeah.
And they also have darts and other things. They got a new dartboard.
They've got the electronic darts going on, right?
Yeah, and they put the arcade machine in there too.
Yeah, they've got some kind of video game.
What is that video game?
Oh, it's old school 80s, 90s.
Street Fighter or something like that?
Street Fighter.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes,
I couldn't remember the name.
That's awesome idea, because actually I was just in London and my mate opened a bar in Peckham and that's what he does. They've got old school arcades and they've got Pac-Man and all that stuff. So having that kind of thing over here is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, it looks like fun.
Yeah, man.
And over at IP's or the IP, they've got food specials on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And I'm sure they've got the Rugby World Cup on the big screen there any night. So if you're looking to watch it on a big screen, just head on over there.
It's a good night for the rugby tonight. Australia-England game.
Oh, it's going to be a good night when we win.
Aussie.
No.
You can also grab biltong over there too anytime.
Delicious, right?
Which is like a South African beef jerky, basically.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
And what's going on at BK House?
So BK House, as usual, they're going to also be showing the rugby. She's got a big screen inside and a big screen outside. She's got the terrace going on. That's going to be good, especially seeing as people can come and watch England beating Australia. But that's actually Saturday, I believe.
I think I'll be the only Aussie here just laughing at all these poms crying later tonight.
Oh, Jesus. But actually, on Friday, it's quite a big event at BK House. It's the first time, and it's going to be going on every month. And it's going to be the first Friday or Saturday of every month. And she's going to sell a coupon for 30,000 won. And that's for 10 drinks, right? And the drinks, obviously, you've got draft height and you've got draft Red Rock. And then you've got gin and vodka and rum and that kind of thing. And it's 10 drinks and it can be 2 people per coupon. so you don't have to drink all those 10 drinks. I'm sure most people will. But basically the idea is it's the weekend before payday. People might be a little bit short of cash. They can come in and then they can get the drink on. It's going to be a laugh. Right?
That'd be good.
Yeah.
And BK's Kitchen is also open all night.
Oh, yeah. All night. Always.
Some places.
Right.
Yes, I have been known to wander back down here from Biscacci's when I get hungry.
Get your eat on.
Pass out on the bar.
All right, so before we started these, what's going on in Changwon, we asked you what were some of the changes that you've noticed in the school system over your, what's it been, 11 years running a school?
Running the hawgwan. Well, I remember when I first opened up, no foreigners ever worked in the public school system. So,
Really?
no, there were no public school jobs.
No, that's true.
So, everyone worked in a hawgwan. There were a lot less foreign teachers back then, too.
Okay.
So, for hawgwans, it was really good business. There was none of the after-school programs or any of that sort of stuff going on. Once the public schools opened up, it did become a bit more difficult for hawgwans. I've seen, just in Namyangdong, of at least 20 go bankrupt. Probably more over the years.
That many?
Yeah.
Wow.
So now Namyangdong, we've probably got 15 hawgwans in the general area, probably running now. At one point there was about 30, and I've just seen so many get sold on, go bankrupt, new ones open up. It's
quite a volatile business then these days.
Well, I think a lot of Koreans at times look at it as an easy way to make money, because we've had new schools open up and the directors have come over to my wife asking what to do.
Right. Right. No experience, that kind of thing.
No experience. They can't speak English themselves, but they've opened up an English language school.
There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than somebody who opens up an English language school who cannot speak English.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, I would never even think of opening a Korean language school back home.
Right.
I can speak a bit of the language, but there's no way I could run it as a school or teach the language.
Right. Yeah, you've got to have some sort of idea about what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And good communication with your staff. And half of your staff in a hawgwan, in an academy, are obviously foreigners.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to communicate with them, in my opinion. Right? You know?
It was like my first job here, the head English teacher, we had to communicate by writing on the whiteboard. She couldn't put a sentence together.
Please pay me.
And even then, like, half the time she'd start drawing pictures. And we're just like, still don't quite understand what you're trying to get across to me.
Wow, my.
So over your, say, 15 years of being here, what are some of the moments that have stuck out for you?
Well, I was here for the 2002 Soccer World Cup.
That's football, mate. It's football.
Soccer, bugger off.
Oh, Jesus. Right. So how was that?
That was wicked. That really stood
It was
out.
insane, yeah.
Oh, it was nuts. Every time Korea played, they'd shut down the rotary.
Yep.
It became a sea of red. They put up this enormous giant screen playing the game, and it was just an enormous drinking fest because Korea just went on victory.
They did
victory,
well,
victory.
man. They did real
really
well. Yeah.
And like me and Maddie Hanna, you guys know Maddie Hanna, we ended up on TV a couple of times up in Yongho-dong leading the cheering for the Koreans. We were up there drinking with our wives, girlfriends at the time. And I went downstairs because everyone's cheering and they saw two foreigners and they've dragged us up there and NBC was filming it and KBS is there filming it. And we're just, Daehaminguk.
Did Maddie get his dance on?
Yeah.
He usually does.
There's another one. He got up on top of a phone booth and he's above all the crowd dancing away.
Nah, it's a good atmosphere. Like I wasn't here for that. I wish I had. Actually, the World Cup was one of the reasons, I was watching it on TV. It was one of the reasons why I thought, hey, Korea looks pretty good. But I've been here for, the other World Cups.
Yeah.
And the same deal. Rotaries closed down, watching games in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning. What a laugh.
It was 10 times bigger back
then.
then.
Obviously. Right. Yeah, man.
I was in Masan at the time, and it was pretty nuts, like Hapsundong.
Yeah.
Everything was, the roads were shut down for vehicles, and it was just a sea of people wearing red T-shirts.
That was it. The Rotary was all shut down here. Yongodong was all shut down. Sangnam. It was nuts.
Yeah, that's wicked. The red T-shirts.
Yeah, I've still got mine at home.
I actually got one.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I was in Oxford doing some teaching, and there was a Korean group, and they said, "Oh, Paul, you should come to Korea and you should teach in Korea, you know." And they gave me one of those T-shirts at the time. So I actually had one, you know. That's pretty crazy, right?
It's pretty crazy that I've been here and so is Duffy for the last, was it 4 World Cups?
Yeah, I think it's 4, yeah.
It's pretty nuts. Been in one country for the last 4 World Cups.
Yeah, I lose track of time. I've been here that long now.
Right. So, speaking of which, actually, any plans on leaving this country, or do you want to continue on?
Eventually I will. I want my son to do high school back home in Australia.
Why is that?
It just gives you a bit more opportunity when it comes to when he finishes high school with universities. It'll definitely help improve with his English language ability, because as it is now, he's basically getting 90% Korean, 10% English when he's at home.
Do you think, like, is he a fluent English speaker, or do you think...
Oh, he'll get there. His English is quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
he responds equally to Korean and English, or more so to Korean?
Like, when my wife's there, like, he'll try and speak Korean. If we're at home, I'll yell out to him to speak English and tell Pearl to speak English as well. But yeah, like, Korean is the language he tends to fall back to, just because that's what he's using all the time. When he sees his grandparents all the time, his friends and all that, it is Korean.
It's always Korean, right?
Yeah.
Do you think, like, for him, do you have any issues with him growing up in Korea, you know, in a public school surrounded by native Koreans? Does he have any problems? Or
he hasn't had any problems so far, but yeah, it is one of my worries, especially with William actually looking like a foreigner and not looking Korean.
Right.
Like, most Koreans, when they see him the first time, automatically assume that he's a foreigner.
Right.
And they're surprised when he starts speaking Korean.
But there is a big difference, you know, in the last 5 to 10 years of how mixed blood kids have been treated in public schools and stuff.
Yeah, it has got better over the years.
It's a lot better now than...
But it's still something I sort of worry about. Like, all my friends that do have mixed kids here, their kids tend to look more Korean. The dark hair, the dark eyes. Well, William's got hazel hair and auburn hair and hazel eyes. Right. He does look foreigner.
What is auburn?
It's not bright red, but it is a red.
It's ginger.
Yeah. My grandma, he's got the same colour hair as my grandmother, and she always called it auburn, so I'm going with auburn.
But even students are a lot more open now these days, and
definitely
a lot more cooler than 10 years ago.
I mean, it could work out massively to his advantage, right? You know, like, he could be the coolest kid in school, sort of thing, right?
Well, he's already the ladies' man at school.
Oh yeah,
most of his friends are girls. They all love him. Even the girls from the older classes and stuff. Like, when he first started elementary school, was it last year? He was sitting up in the front of the class near the window, and the girls at the back near the door. Her mother complained to the teacher because every time it came up for, like, recess and lunchtime, the older girls would come down and bug her. Go get William for us.
Right, right. So I guess it's a case like it's not like father, like son, then, is it?
He's following in Daddy's footsteps.
He definitely isn't.
So he's going to pick up a camera soon and be taking
photos
of
Korean soft porn.
Korean soft porn.
Yeah. So you plan on getting out of here. He's going to go to Australia maybe and go to high school.
Yeah, right? I want him to do high school.
So after middle school.
Well, in Australia, we don't. Well, in New South Wales, we don't have middle school.
Yeah, it's the same as England. We have
a
combination,
6 and 6.
right? Yeah, right, exactly. So you want him to do the whole thing?
Do the 6, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you go over to Australia, what would you do when you're there?
Well, we've still got businesses that make money here. We've got family working for us, so I'm not going to sell up the businesses that are making good money.
So you're just going on holiday, right? 6 years.
Yeah, my wife will kick me out the arse for that, but I'll try and spend the first 12 months sitting on the beach.
Yeah, right. Bit of surf.
Yeah, I'll get some surfing in. I'll make up for all the years of not surfing here.
Yeah.
But eventually I'd get bored doing that myself. I'm going to find something to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you got. So if there was, what would be your choice? Like, if you had to work, what would you do?
Soft porn photography.
I've been thinking about like
Hardcore porn?
Hardcore. I'll be the star though.
Nah, because William's going to get to the age where he's actually going to start asking Mike, like, so, Daddy, what do you do for a living? Let's not talk about that right now, son. Now, you could get back into bars or nightclubs or what?
Yeah, I've thought about doing the photography again, but it's such a hard industry to break into. Before, I was right place, right time when the company I worked for fell apart and I picked up all their contracts, and that's how I ended up opening up my own business. Having that happen again would be real arsey luck. So photography, I doubt I'll get back into that. Possibility of opening up a bar, pub, something like that.
Yeah.
I doubt I'd do a club again because just too much night work.
Right.
It's a lot more difficult to run a club than it is a pub.
Yeah, it's pretty taxing, right? I'd say, especially when they're big clubs and they're open until like 6, 7 in the morning.
And unless I'm right downtown Sydney, a small club will only survive when you're right down in the mix of all of it, and then you're paying top rents and everything else and stuff. So you need quite a bit of cash to burn to open up a small club in Sydney.
Right.
Small club out in the suburbs just isn't going to survive enough.
Yeah, fair play.
So you've, anyway, we asked this of all our guests. I think the answer is kind of obvious, seeing that you're married, have family here, business running, but what's the thing that you like most about Changwon, and what's kept you here all this time?
It's a real cruisy lifestyle living here.
Yeah.
I'd be working my ass off a lot more back home for the money I'm making and the time I get off. I get a lot of vacations here. Bonus of working for yourself as well. But
why haven't you chosen any other Korean cities or?
Well, originally I was just getting out of Australia. I didn't give a shit where I was going at the time, and when that job popped up in the newspaper for Korea, it just happened to be Changwon.
Right.
And I was very lucky with that and ended up in a great city with great people. And as you guys know, there's a lot of long-termers here, which says a lot about a place.
It does, man. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's you've hit the nail right on the head there. It's basically the people, mostly the British, people like Paul Roberts. You just can't get away from that, right? Like, that's why you stay.
We try to get away, but we're all stuck.
Yeah, it's a combination of 45 years or so sitting at the table.
Jesus, more than that, mate. So anyway, one more question, just for a laugh. What's the funniest moment you've had since you got here? Can you find one?
Well, there are many, but one of them would have been I am the only person to go to O'Brien's naked.
Oh, shit. Why the hell did you end up in OB's naked?
I think O'Brien's have been open about a year, maybe 2, and we actually had a couple of younger engineers in Changwon, a couple of pretty hot girls. They were late 20s, drinking with them one night, and they're like, well, let's go over to our hotel room, the International Hotel. The company's paying for it. We'll just drink all the whiskey bottles in there.
To which you obviously said, no, I cannot do that.
No, of course, I argued against it. So we ended up in their hotel room.
Did you bring your camera?
No, I should have. This is before all the smartphones were out, so we didn't get any video of this.
Oh, Jesus.
Someone did take photos when I was at O'Brien's, but I forget who it was.
Right. So what happened?
But so we drank 3 full bottles of whiskey and got really maggoted.
Yeah.
And started playing strip poker. It was me.
So wait a minute, you're playing poker, strip poker. You obviously lost.
We all ended up naked. So then it was like, okay, we're picking a room number on the floor, and you've got to go down naked and knock on the door and ask, this is where the toga party is. So we started doing that. And then we started doing different floors. You had to ride the elevator naked. And then the last one was you had to go over to O'Brien's. So I had to wear the International Hotel robe. I had my boots on, and that was it. Walked over the road. The bet was to sit in front of the pint tap, order a pint, derobe, drink the pint, and then I could go back and get dressed.
Right.
Well, I was pretty smashed and didn't really give a shit, so I drank the pint and thought, well, stuff it, I'm here now, I'm not going back. And spent about 3 hours in O'Brien's naked.
Without the robe on?
Without the robe. All I was wearing was boots. A couple of Korean girls came in, sat down at that little table that used to be near the door there.
Yeah.
So, of course, I went and sat with them.
Oh, God. They've never been back since then.
No, I never saw him again.
So obviously O'Brien doesn't have the no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Well, I think they got instigated after that night. Austin has told me never to come back that way again.
Oh man, that's gold. That is gold. I tell you what, actually.
Gold dust.
Speaking of gold, like nobody knows it. Well, people do know this, but not everybody. But your name is Gold Dust.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, eh?
That came from Matty Barber.
How did he end up giving you that nickname?
Well, I do wear a bit of gold when I come out on the weekends.
Actually, these days, I think you've de-golded, right? Like I haven't seen anything.
Well, when I'm riding the motorbike and stuff, and I've got leather jackets on, it just gets uncomfortable when it rubs on you. Yeah,
Gold chafe. Yeah.
Gold chafe.
Okay.
And plus, if I'm wearing a gold bracelet and stuff, and you come off, it's just going to destroy my arm and destroy the bracelet as well. So,
Right.
But yeah, when I come out and I wear a shirt and that, I stick on the necklace and the bracelet and that. So.
Dripping with gold. Yeah.
Used to wear them all the time, but I ride the bike a bit now and stuff.
Right. So you're not a silver man, you're a gold man, eh?
I also have silver.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're an Aussie, right? It's all about the gold down there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the gold.
Yeah.
We got silver as well down in Australia, but like I also buy and sell silver and gold coins.
Okay.
I've got a lot of silver coins at home at the moment. Solid silvers.
Where do you keep them?
Know where you're going to find.
Oh, Jesus.
They're right up my ass here, Paul. Reach in and grab it.
Anyway, Duffy, it's been great having you on.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, boys.
I hope it wasn't a way-worn moment for you.
Jesus. You can't even... Yeah. Anyway.
It's been good.
Anyway, thanks, Duffy, and we're out. We hope everybody has a great week.
Yeah, man.
Yep, and we'll get smashed tonight.
And we'll see you next week on the Changwoner Podcast.
Goodbye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Changwoner Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode.